Hey everyone, back tuning in to today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this takes us to New Year's Eve, so we're virtually up to the end of 2015 with this update. So it's been very mild, of course, through December. We'll have a look at central temperature in a second. I am aware that it is a bit colder. It has been a bit colder across Scotland, so may not get the all-time UK record, but certainly for central England, been exceptionally mild. Record-breaking mild December, and we are easily going to beat the mildest, warmest December on record, which is held jointly by 1934 and 1974. So have a look at that. We'll also have a look at weather the next 8 to 10 days. Going to continue Atlantic dominated. There are a few hints of high pressure trying to get going across Scandinavia after Christmas. Now, if you watched the Christmas update last night, you'll know that the midday run of GFS yesterday wanted to eventually, it took a very, very long time to get there, but through the first week of January, it did want to bring us a slight easterly flow and turn things colder as high pressure was blocking out over Scandinavia. That was a very long way off, of course. The hints are still there about this ridge on some of the model output today, but it's a really long way off. It's after Christmas, it's into the new year, so I'd be pretty dubious about it, to be honest. It's going to take us a lot to break out of this unsettled pattern that we're in at the moment, and there's various reasons for that, mainly because the stratosphere over North Pole is so cold. We will have a look at the stratosphere tomorrow and see just how cold it is at the moment and what the forecasts are as we go beyond Christmas into the new year for the stratosphere over North Pole. But it's really cold over the pole in the upper atmosphere at the moment, which means it's going to take a great effort for the atmosphere to break us out of this Atlantic-driven pattern. So we'll have a little bit of detail in a second anyway. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all pages at Gazla. Please have a browse through widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, thanks so much for doing that. This video adds to most pages which open up the content when you watch them. They'll close back up again. And that is helping to pay for our website. So let's start off with the central England temperature. We currently stand, this is quite outstanding really, up to the 20th, which is yesterday of course. We currently stand at 9.9 Celsius, which is an anomaly of over 5 degrees above average. Quite extraordinary, really, and this is the complete opposite of December 2010. I think December 2010 came out around 5 degrees, something like that, colder than average. It's very, very close to the coldest December since records began in 1659, just around 1.1 of a degree off it. So this is like December 2010, as extreme as December 2010, but the other way in terms of warmth, and it is easily going to beat the warmest December on record. That was 8.1, as I said, held jointly between 1934 and 1974. So we're probably going to beat it by about 1.5, 2 degrees, something like that. That is really quite amazing that we managed to do that. Now, I am aware, as I said at the start of the video, it's been a bit colder for Scotland at times, so whether we're going to get the UK-wide temperature record, I'm not sure, and I will be keeping an eye on it. We'll know at the end of the month when the UK Met Office comes out with the final data for this month. So at the moment, this record-breaking December just applies to England and Wales. We will wait and see whether the UK warm temperature record goes when we get to the end of the month. So the next week to 10 days is going to remain very Atlantic driven. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure being moved around by jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, red is extrapolating to high pressure. Now we see on both of these both of the models that we've got this big wall of high pressure setting up to the east of us. So we've got this huge ridge here extending, well, it extends down to North Africa. It extends through Central Europe, and it does go up to Scandinavia, and even trying to get up into the Arctic. So an enormous ridge there is developing around the new year to the east of us. As I said, last night's GFS did want to take that definitively up to Scandinavia and try to track jet stream underneath it, so it eventually did try and place us into a cold easterly flow. The complication with this, however, is that we've got this very, very deep trough of low pressure in the Atlantic. So the deep blues here are indicating a real deep trough there through the Atlantic, extending up in towards the North Pole as well. So it's the irresistible force meets the immovable object, really, with the jet stream and the low pressure coming up against this enormous ridge sitting to the east and doing something like that. Up to a week to 10 days, it does keep us mild. And what we've got to watch out for with this, we did get this a little bit through 2014. If you remember that horrendous winter where it just didn't stop raining, and it was an awful winter. We did get it a bit like this then, actually, because what happens is that the trough frozen weather fronts into the country. They come up against this wall of high pressure to the east, and the weather fronts just sort of grind to a halt, and they just don't move. So we've got to watch out for that. It could produce a lot of rain if things set up just right. Of course, we've already had a great deal of rain anyway so far this winter, so we do have to watch out for what's going on there. But whether this eventually could evolve into a cold pattern, it's possible, but it's going to take a lot of pieces to come together and fall into place, really, to get us into a cold easterly. So these are the GFS temperature precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. So we've been very significantly above average all month. We're still above average. We do go a little bit cooler running up towards Christmas. So Wednesday will be a bit colder, and into Christmas Eve, after a band of rain goes through, it'll be a bit colder then, and that could last us into Christmas Day in the north. In the south, Christmas Day probably turns mild again. And then running beyond Christmas, this period just here is taking us back into significantly mild weather as we go through in towards the end of the year. The date's on the bottom, so this is New Year's Day just here. And another push of very mild air comes up between Christmas and New Year on that southerly between the trough in the Atlantic and the ridge across Central Europe. After that, generally, it's trending above average still, even into the first week of January, although there are a few members of the ensemble that are going a little bit colder then. But you certainly won't look at that and say there's anything definitively cold coming up for the next couple of weeks. So the temperature anomaly for the coming week, this is for the 21st of December through to 29th, excuse me, is above average, and that does encompass a couple of cooler days coming up this week, so very significantly warmer than average. Look how warm it is across Russia. Temperatures anomalies there, and Scandinavia, around 8 to 10 Celsius above average. Now, of course, this is a very cold time of year for them, so that will still be pretty cold, even at this time of the year. But it really is quite extraordinary how this warmth is flooding in across the whole of the continent, has been doing so for most of the month. The precipitation anomalies for next week, 21st to 29th of December, look like this. So significantly driving average across many central southern parts of Europe. Wetter in the north. It all very much is indicative of a westerly jet stream, and the low pressure being to the north, high pressure to the south. So here are the generic charts. This is the chart for Christmas Day, and we've got a bit of a battle going on. Cold air is trying to come down from the north. We're not that far from having a cold Christmas Day, would you believe? But we've also got this very mild air coming back up again from the Azores, and it's that mild air which is going to win and take us through up towards the new year anyway. In between, there's a weather front, so that's why I'm a bit concerned with rain, or have been a bit concerned with rain over the Christmas period and into the Christmas weekend, because I do think there could be a lot of rain once again with these two air masses fighting against one another. So by Boxing Day, this is Saturday 26th, we are seeing these southwesterly southerly winds flooding into the country. Any hints of colder air is being pushed off into Scandinavia, and we've just got balmy southwesterlies returning from the Canary Islands. Going through into Sunday the 27th, so we're beyond Christmas now, running up towards the new year, and we're staying unsettled with westerly southwesterly winds, mild with outbreaks of rain. And then go through to Monday the 28th, a week away, and on into Tuesday the 29th. And there's the high pressure in over Scandinavia. So we have got a bit of ridging up there. But look how deep the troughs of low pressure are in the Atlantic. That's a very significant storm just there heading into the northwest of Scotland. So this high pressure really has got its work cut out with jet stream going like that to do very much, because the Atlantic is just throwing everything and the kitchen sink at it. And actually this particular run of the GFS just see that high pressure just being swept aside really by the Atlantic. Low pressure systems moving in, lots of wet and windy conditions, and that takes us up to day 10, which is New Year's Eve, and still in a westerly flow. Notice again another low pressure is developing to the south of Greenwich with those purple colours. Whenever purple colours turn up on these charts, as you always say, it's normally a case of look out, we're in some stormy weather. And the westerlies just roll on into the first week of January. Actually, I don't normally show you the first week of January, but up to 384 hours away, 6th of January, westerlies are still just blasting through. The, excuse me, the ECMWF looks like this for Christmas Day. Again, weather systems coming up from the south, bringing outbreaks of rain. There's some colder air for Scotland, so there might be some snow across the higher ground of Scotland on Christmas Day, but these southwesterlies very quickly flood in and kill off any possibility of colder conditions around and after Christmas. By the 27th of December, we're in this southerly flow, still unsettled and very mild. And we go through the course of next week, staying really unsettled with low pressure dominating. The high pressure again is there over Scandinavia, but very quickly it's being pushed back into western Russia as all the weather really is coming from the Atlantic Ocean. So we have got the hints of this high pressure build across Scandinavia. I've got doubts it's going to do very much, to be honest. I think the Atlantic is just in too much of a buoyant phase to allow that high pressure to really take things over for the time being. What it could do is a bit like in January 2014. It could sit there over Scandinavia and western Russia and just delay the low pressures and the weather fronts from clearing the country. If that happens, we could go into a very, very wet pattern. Hopefully not. Hopefully the high pressure will quickly be killed off over Scandinavia and we'll have a traditional westerly which will stop the weather fronts getting stuck over the country. But it is a risk if this high pressure proves stubborn but doesn't get us into a cold scenario. It is a risk that we could go into a really, really wet spell. It's already been pretty wet so far this winter, of course. So a lot to be looking out for. It looks like we're staying in Atlantic trim and pattern mode, at least up towards the new year. And after a little cooler interlude just before Christmas, temperatures still looking very mild. That's it for now then. We'll be looking at the stratosphere tomorrow to see what that's doing. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.